David, President Obama signed a law this summer banning many of the chemicals found in synthetic drugs like K2 and bath salts. But police say that these drug manufacturers have chemists working for them. And these chemists are constantly tweaking the formulas and tweaking the chemical compounds to get around the law. And it seems as if they are always staying one step ahead of the authorities.
K2 was a gateway drug too for me, because once I started using it all the time.
This 18-year-old from Westmoreland County first started smoking K2 because it didn't show up on his drug tests.
My family really wanted me to stay clean, but as an addict, my mentality is, you know, I want to get high.
K2 looks like marijuana, but it's actually herbs that are sprayed with chemicals to mimic the symptoms of pot.
Some of my patients refer to it as marijuana on steroids because it works on the same part of the brain that marijuana does, but in a much more potent way.
Dr. Neil Capretto of Gateway Rehab says K2 first came on the scene 5 or 6 years ago, and according to a recent study, it's the second most popular drug of choice among high schoolers. K2 has been banned in Pennsylvania since 2011, but we learned that manufacturers get around the law by constantly tweaking the formula.
There's no safety control, there's no quality control. One packet might have 100 times the amount of chemicals in it that the other packet does.
Trooper Josh Gearin leads many of the K2 raids in western Pennsylvania. He spearheaded this one 2 weeks ago in Arnold that netted more than 5,000 bags of K2, one of the largest seizures on this side of the state.
Basically, the hardest part for us is identifying the locations that are selling it.
K2 is cheap, and it's marketed to kids with its bright packaging and branding. And the number of K2 calls to poison control centers has skyrocketed from 3,000 in 2010 to almost 7,000 in 2011. And the dangers are very real. 12-year-old Brandon Rice died after smoking K2. The North Huntingdon teen was in the hospital for weeks and received a double lung transplant, but that didn't save him.
People are having faster heart rates, sometimes heart attacks, high blood pressure, but getting very agitated, having strong anxiety, panic attacks.
Like any drug addiction, when K2 takes hold, it becomes an obsession. And the scary part is, use of this drug is on the rise.
It's going to be a struggle for me to get back out there and stay clean.
Chemists are also tinkering with another synthetic drug, bath salts. They are always tweaking the formula, tweaking the chemical compound to get around the law. And in many cases with bath salts and with K2, they will put labels on the packages that say not for human consumption or for incense purposes only. But as investigators said to me, what 20-year-old guy is going out there buying this stuff and then taking it home and using it as incense? That is just not believable. Reporting live this evening in Westmoreland County, I'm Courtney Brennan, Channel 11 News.
"102 synthetic weed overdoses in 3 days in one county, what you're not being told." July 17, 2017 at 2:45 p.m. Written by Carrie Wedler. Anti-media op-ed, Lancaster County, PA. Last weekend, 102 people overdosed on synthetic marijuana in Lancaster County, PA. Though no deaths were reported, the startling number of people in a single county who overdosed on the drug, also called spice or K2, reveals the realities of the war on the drugs and authorities' continued failure to properly deal with drug addiction. We're revolutionizing the news industry, but we need your help. Click here to get started. Synthetic cannabis first originated in the 1990s, as Slate explained last year. Like ecstasy and LSD, SCS owe their existence to academic research. The chemist who developed the first SC compounds was a Clemson University professor named John W. Huffman, who was interested in the brain receptors that regulate appetite, nausea, mood, pain, and inflammation. According to this Washington Post profile, Huffman synthesized a compound he called JHW018 in 1993 and published a series of academic papers that contain the formula. Years later, that formula was used as a recipe by underground drug makers. Synthetic marijuana, like THC, the active ingredient in real cannabis, interacts with cannabinoid receptors in the brain. As a result, manufacturers play up the association between their products and traditional marijuana by spraying their chemicals onto diced up dry plant matter that can be sold in baggies and smoked, Slate explained. But the effects of synthetic cannabis are often nothing like real weed. Huffman says real cannabis has a mellowing effect, which synthetic cannabis lacks. Slate notes side effects include catatonia, profound anxiety and paranoia, nausea and vomiting, elevated heartbeat and blood pressure, seizures, and hallucinations. The effects are not the same for everyone, but as Rolling Stone pointed out in 2015, the U.S. government's 2011 decision to assign Schedule I status to the drug, which has many variations, made it difficult to research its effects. Without extensive knowledge of how the drug works, who it affects and what a safe dose might be, spice continues to put people in danger. But making the drug illegal has caused far more problems than a lack of information. In July 2013, Fox 43, an affiliate in Pennsylvania, reported that the state had passed a law that banned all synthetic drugs and gave police authority to take action regardless of what was in the substance in question. At the time, the outlet claimed it was having profoundly positive effects. Not even a month after it was enacted, this law is already having a significant impact. It's because of this law that went into effect on July 3 that police busted clerks and owners of 4 convenience stores in Harrisburg for selling synthetic marijuana. Police are no longer playing catch-up when it comes to dealing with synthetic drugs, Fox 43 reported. Given this report, one might assume that 6 years later, the problem of synthetic cannabis use would have been eradicated. But months before this blanket law was even passed, Pennsylvania outlet WPXI reported intentionally or not on the futility of such bans. They are banned in Pennsylvania, but Channel 11 News has found synthetic drugs still being sold in stores and winding up in the hands of teenagers. This summer, President Barack Obama signed a law banning many of the chemicals used in bath salts, salvia, and synthetic marijuana, also known as K2. Such laws have undeniably failed considering the 102 overdoses that occurred last month in Lancaster County. Further, as Rolling Stone pointed out, in Syracuse, threatening to shut down stores selling synthetic marijuana only pushed the market underground, and had no effect on the overdose rate. As Anti-Media has previously explained, making a drug illegal and driving it underground undermines quality standards and accountability, as has been the case with heroin and the tainted street versions of opiate pharmaceuticals that have cropped up as a result of prohibition. Since pure heroin is more expensive and rare, dealers become creative, diluting the substance or adding other components to make the supply more powerful. Seeing an opportunity to earn high profits by selling heroin, tainted heroin, or related drugs on the growing American market while also eliminating competition, these Mexican cartel smugglers have been responsible for higher death rates, as well. Unsurprisingly, C. Robert May, director of Lancaster Emergency Services, told CNN last week that normally heroin is the issue in his region, but that his assumption is that heroin is not readily available, so people are turning to K2. If this is the case, prohibition is also partly to blame. Though much of the country is legalizing cannabis, Pennsylvania has been slow to join. As Philly.com reported earlier this month, Pennsylvania has only legalized things like vape pen cartridges, edible cannabis extracts and topical creams for registered patients. It's known as a no-smoke law. They note this restrictive legalization makes only the most expensive forms of cannabis available. Unsurprisingly, one of the top reasons people turn to spice is that it's cheap. You can also use synthetic cannabinoids without failing a drug test, a common practice in American workplaces that arguably resulted from the government's anti-drug policies. Further, the lack of readily available cannabis may also be contributing to the continuation of heroin addiction, which according to May, could be contributing to the spike in spice overdoses as people struggle to find their drug of choice. Recent research has found that states that provide access to medical cannabis have lower rates of opiate overdose and death. Though Pennsylvania does have a medical marijuana program, it is limited to a handful of qualifying disorders. Nevertheless, authorities at both the state and federal levels continue to impose more of the same restrictive policies that have already proven to make drugs more dangerous without addressing the underlying root issues of addiction and, as is increasingly clear, prohibition.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County Cop Watch, and I wanted to explain what fair use is. You can use pieces of news articles if you're doing it for news reporting, you have commentary, and you're doing it for education purposes. So that's what fair use is, as you can see right here. Another reason why I wanted to make this video is to let you know I have just joined with Patreon. A nice thing with Patreon, I make no money on YouTube. They took the money away years ago, and so this is another way to give, and it's a nice thing too because you can give monthly. You can give $1, $5, $10, whatever. I do 4 to 5 hours a day on trying to wake the sheep up on how corrupt it is and different ways that you can fight the corruption. So Patreon is a way that you can do it, and then of course the old way is still there. Donate to Charlotte County Cop Watch with PayPal or credit card. So keep that in mind. 4 to 5 hours a day. I make no money, but the corruption happened to me and I'm sick of it, so I'm trying to wake people up. But my wife would love it if some, if we could get some help out there. There's 47,000 subscribers. Just think if each one of you subscribers just gave a, let's say, actually, yes, $1 a month. 47,000 subscribers gave $1 a month. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that would be great if it did happen. But, do the math in your head. Just think about it. Like I said, 4 to 5 hours a day. I get no money from YouTube. YouTube has gone nuts. You can't do anything anymore. They're taking the money away everywhere. So these are a couple different ways that you can still help out with all this time that I put in. And as you know, I'm in a special situation where, at least I can do it. 4 to 5 hours a day. We have a cleaning company during the day. That's what allows me to do this, and we're debt free. So this is my hobby. I don't go fishing and all that other crap. I try to save the world. So help me out to make the wife happy, man. In fact, if you guys did give $1 a day, and there was 47,000 of you, and you did it, and each of you gave $1, and that was every month, oh my God, yes, I could quit. I could start suing them. Another idea too that we have is, if I got, some funds, we could actually contact everyone that has been ticketed and or arrested and put in jail and start sending them postcards to let them know we're here, and to see if everything went all right, and if it didn't, find out their story. So we could even do more investigations and more lawsuits. Lawsuits take money. So just think about that. 47,000 of you so far right now. $1 a day. $1 a month on Patreon, or $5 a month Patreon, 10, 20, whatever. Just do the math in your head. Help out. This is a lot of work every single day. Thanks.